Hey everyone, welcome to the beach with General Sunbeam.
Aloha! Glad you could join us.
Relax, soak up the sun, and enjoy the vibe.
All right, three, two, one. Time for another content production on YouTube, Rumble, and the various social media platforms out there. Okay. So again, just promoting my Rumble right now, calling out fake artists, spam bots, and Genshin, PS4 rumors, what's real versus fake, discussion, scam, talking about DeviantArt and artists and these annoying spam bots that you see plaguing DeviantArt and other related artistic platforms. All right. Viewer discretion advised, mature audience guidance. Before I begin, I want to give a clear and responsible viewer advisory. Viewer discretion is advised. This content is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for anyone under the age of 18 or for viewers who may be sensitive to certain discussions, themes, opinions, or forms of commentary presented during this stream or slash content, video content, or in future content that I produce. From time to time, my content may include serious or potentially uncomfortable subject matter or topics. This can include politically sensitive or politically controversial topics, strong social commentary, current event discussions, strong language or strong expressions, online culture analysis, mature fandom topics, suggestive, suggestive subject matter, food-centric moments, body modeling discussion, wellness or massage-related themes, fan service slash etchy service or visuals, and other forms of content that some viewers may find offensive, awkward, uncomfortable, or inappropriate for their personal preference. This advisory is meant to provide a direct and respectful heads up notice. In simple terms, viewer discretion advised means that you are encouraged to use personal judgment and wise decision making before continuing to watch. Therefore, despite the warnings, you are responsible and it is not me, the content creator's fault that I have warned you about all this. If you are under 18, and I repeat, if you are under 18, if you prefer family safe material only, or if you are easily uncomfortable with mature, controversial, suggestive, or potentially insensitive topics, then this content may not be for you. Please leave, scroll along. Not every live stream or video content will contain every one of these topics. However, because my work can involve commentary, blogging, vlogging, internet culture, public issues, politics, creative discussion, body centered modeling themes, and adult audience subject matter, I want to be transparent, open, honest from the beginning and make the boundaries clear as it can be. This is not intended to shock people, mislead anyone, or catch viewers off guard. It is intended to be responsible, direct, and honest. I do my best to do so. So again, I do my best to give clear warnings and proper heads up so that viewers can make informed decisions about whether they wish to continue watching. So once again, viewer discretion is advised. Mature content warning. It's not recommended for minors and anyone that is sensitive. If any of these topics are not something you wish to hear discussed or expressed, or if you feel that this type of material may be offensive or uncomfortable for you, please use your discretion accordingly. Scroll along, leave, forget about it. So now, with that being said, you have been warned. And I am going to take off my shirt and kick my feet on the desk and show some foot-centric moments. So here comes some body modeling. It is hot. It's hot and humid here. All right, time to kick my feet up. All right. I hope you don't mind. I'm not very good at documenting, and I'm a terrible professional amateur content creator, YouTuber, Rumble, or whatever. I'm just being me myself, and I do a phenomenal job of being me. I'm not any other content creator. All right, good day to everyone watching, hearing me out. I appreciate you. I appreciate the views. I appreciate the audience. Thank you very much. I want to speak clearly and professionally about the kind of online spaces I move through as a content creator, the kind of content I observe, and the challenges I am dealing with trying to grow across platforms like YouTube and DeviantArt, for instance. As I am promoting my Rumble channel, I'm General Sunbeam. I appreciate the follow. As you can see, I'm currently at 40 followers, and I appreciate hoping to break 100 plus followers and hoping to go viral or have a good amount of views. I'm trying to be successful and be a successful, prosperous content creator. I can't stress that enough. But I'm just being me myself, and this is what I can do. This is within my control. But I thank you for the long term and genuine followers for Rumble. One of the images, one of the images here shows a stylized anime character standing and sinking in mud or quicksand like terrain. If I could pop up the image. In plain terms, that falls into a niche online genre built around sinking. Sinking fetish, quicksand, all that. Entrapment, mud, slime, and other wet and messy themes. Some people approach that genre as fantasy peril, animation, or unusual character art. Other people approach it through adult or fetish driven interests. The important the important point is that this niche exists. Yes, this niche exists. It it has an audience, and it often overlaps with the broader wet and messy or WAM subculture online, where mud, slime, water, and related tactile or visual themes are a major focus. So all this fetish-driven kink niche content exists. It's being sensationalized as the feel-good tactile or sensory input feeling. I want to be honest about that without turning it into something graphic. And again, viewer discretion is advised. Not every not every image or animation. I gotta put on my glasses. I cannot see from here, especially when my feet and my legs are kicked up. All right, much better. Oh, I'm feeling sleepy at this hour. All right, so yes, niche exists. It has an audience, and it often overlaps with the broader, wet and messy subculture online, where mud, slime, water, and related tactile, sensory, or visual themes are a major focus. I want to be honest about that without turning it into something graphic. Not every image or animation in that space is explicit, but a meaningful portion of that scene is adult oriented, mature oriented, fetish adjacent, or mature in tone. That means creators and viewers need to use common sense, keep clear boundaries, and understand that some niche genres online may look harmless or artistic on the surface while also belonging to a very specific adult interest community underneath. Now, turning to my own creator reality, the YouTube. Now, let's talk about mine. Focus on me as a creator here. Creator reality, the YouTube screenshots. If I could pop that up on there. A YouTube screenshot shows a channel with about 165 subscribers and 758 videos. So yes, my number is not 700 something subscribers. I mean, I think I have or said something. It's over 700 something, maybe a little bit more than that. But I have over 758 videos or video content on my YouTube channel. So my own creator rated the YouTube screenshot or that shows my YouTube channel with currently 165 subscribers and 758 videos. It is 165 subscribers and 758 uploaded video contents. Based on the image presented. That ratio is frustrating and it shows a hard truth about YouTube. Volume by itself does not guarantee traction. Yeah, there you go, traction. Uploading more does not automatically mean the algorithm will reward it, and having many videos does not automatically mean monetization will follow. That's what I can prove here. YouTube's own rule make that clear. The expanded partner program entry point is 500 subscribers plus 3 public uploads in 90 days and either 3,000 watch hours in the last 12 months or 3 million shorts views in 90 days. Full ad revenue sharing still requires 1,000 subscribers plus either 4,000 public watch hours in the last 12 months or 10 million shorts views in 90 days. On top of that, YouTube says channels are reviewed for monetization policies, including whether content is original and authentic, repetitive, or mass produced. Inauthentic content can be denied monetization even if the raw numbers are met. So the problem So the problem is not simply why am I not viral yet? The problem is that YouTube is extremely competitive and the platform is not judging creators by effort alone. It is judging whether people click, whether they stay, whether the content has a clear niche, whether the packaging is strong, and whether the work feels distinct enough to earn repeated audience attention. YouTube also emphasized things like community posts and thumbnails because distribution is heavily affected by packaging and audience interaction, not just upload count. That is why I would frame my situation this way. 165 subscribers with 758 video contents does not prove that you failed. It proves that growth on YouTube is hard, slow, and often uneven. It also suggests that the issue is probably not effort, but positioning. In other words, the platform likely needs a clearer content lane. A clearer content lane, I don't know what the heck that means. Clearer titles, clearer thumbnails, and a stronger reason for a new viewer to immediately understand what your channel is about. Now, let me address the DeviantArt side because a screenshot with the comment notification is full of warning signs. The sample comment shown there uses very polished praise, but it is generic. Yes, I have covered this before. It says the writing is immersive, it says it can be imagined as a comic, and immediately tries to move the conversation to Discord and Instagram. That is a classic red flag pattern. A genuine reader usually mentions a specific scene, character moment, plot point, or line. A suspicious account often gives interchangeable praise and then quickly tries to pull the creator off platform. DeviantArt's own help center treats spam, deceptive promotion, and abusive outreach as real platform problems. The site tells users to mark spam, report the profile, and even limit messages so only deviants you watch can contact you. DeviantArt also warns users not to trust messages from people merely claiming to be staff unless they show the actual DeviantArt team symbol. And the site says it cannot estimate review times because reports enter a moderation queen. I don't know how you pronounce that. Shaped by volume and priority. In other words, the platform itself openly acknowledges that spam and abuse are recurring issues, not rare one-off accidents. Got that right. It is a recurring issue. That is why getting rid of burner accounts, mule accounts, and low effort spam profiles is difficult in practice. Even when one account is reported or removed, another one can be made. Moderation helps, but the problem is recurring. And that's what every artist, legitimate artist, needs to see that. At least all those quicksand artists, all these not safe for work adult fetish artists on all these Discord servers, quicksand, slime, petrification, or whatever bondage, adult fetish driven servers needs to see that it's a recurring issue. Burner accounts, mule accounts, low effort spam profiles is difficult in practice. So one account is either reported or removed, another one can be made. Moderation helps, but the problem is recurring. So the real goal is not only removal, the real goal is defense. Spotting patterns early, refusing to move off platform too quickly, blocking aggressively, saving screenshots and treating vague praise with caution when it is followed by a Discord, Telegram, or Instagram push, moving you off platform to either of those. The most common scam patterns in these spaces are now very recognizable. One pattern is fake admiration followed by a comic, manga, or webcomic offer. Another is a supposed artist with little or no real portfolio who wants to move the conversation to Discord, Telegram, Blue Sky, Instagram, or any other social platforms immediately. Another another is art theft, where somebody reposts work they did not make with or without slight edits. Another is impersonation. I'm not sure if it's windy outside. All right, another is impersonation, where scammers pose as staff, support, curators, collectors, or collaborators. Another is NFT related theft, where images are copied and minted or reposted elsewhere without permission. And another is deceptive AI use, where someone passes off AI generated output as fully hand drawn work while hiding the truth from viewers and clients. On the copyright side, DeviantArt says it complies with the DMCA and provides a form for infringement notice. Its its sharing etiquette policy says members may not post another member's content, including AI generated content. That's good. Without permission and proper credit. DeviantArt Protect DeviantArt Protect uses image recognition software to detect nearly identical uploads and notify artists of possible infringement. And the company has also and and the company has also described expanding that protection into NFT theft detection. That that means the platform does have tools, but the burden still often falls on the artist to review, document, and file reports. On the AI side, the honesty issue is very important. The Vernart says DreamUp generated submissions are automatically tagged as AI art and prominently labeled as generated by DreamUp. The site also says artists can choose whether external AI models may train on their deviations, and artists can apply to opt out of other users generating art in their style with DreamUp. So when someone hides AI use and tries to sell the result as purely hand drawn, that is not just a style choice, it is a trust problem. The platform itself is built around disclosure tools, which means concealment is going against the transparency many communities now expect. And this is bigger than one website. The FTC says impersonation scams were among the top fraud categories against the 2024. Sorry, I just trying to look out the window to see if there's anything unusual activity outside. So the site also says artists can choose whether external AI models can train on their deviations, and artists can apply to opt out of other users generating art in their style with DreamUp. So when someone hides AI use and tries to sell the result as purely hand drawn, that is not just a style choice, it is a trust problem. The platform itself is built around disclosure tools, which means concealment is going against the transparency many communities now expect. And this is bigger than one website. The FTC says impersonation scams were among the top fraud categories again in 2024, with nearly 3 billion in reported losses. And its advice is simple: do not trust unexpected messages, do not click unexpected links, and verify the person or business independently before sending money or personal information. That advice applies directly to creators being approached by fake artists. All right. So approached by fake artists, fake staff, fake buyers, and fake collaborators. So the message I want to leave with viewers and audiences of the general public of the internet is this: online creativity today is not only about art, stories, videos, and growth. It is also about discernment. It is about knowing that niche communities exist, including mud, quicksand, and wet and messy art communities. It is about knowing that YouTube growth is difficult and that high upload volumes does not guarantee success, despite all my content being uploaded and the similar content on Rumble. Yeah, I don't know, I just don't understand that the algorithm. So it is, yeah. It's difficult and that high upload volume does not guarantee success. It is about recognizing that DeviantArt and similar platforms are full of both real creators or artists and fake outreach accounts, those dead, low engaging, recently a few days made burner accounts with no profile image. And it is about protecting your work from spam, theft, impersonation, NFT abuse, and dishonest AI presentation. My practical advice is simple: stay on platform until trust is earned. Ask for portfolio, not promises. Ask for specifics, not vague praise. Report spam instead of debating with it. Use filtering settings. Keep evidence. Protect your copyright, with watermarks. Disclose AI honestly. And if someone approaches you with polished words, but no real body of work, no real identity, and a fast push toward private contact, assume caution first. That is the reality of content creation. That is the reality of content creation now. The internet gives opportunity, but it also gives deception. It gives visibility, but it also gives noise. It gives creators a stage, but it also gives scammers an opening. So, if we want to grow, stay safe, and build real reputations, we have to create with both ambition and awareness. Okay, let me put my feet down. Okay. All right. Continuing where I left off. So, as I was saying, so just to reiterate, on DeviantArt and all these art-related platforms, of course, there are always dishonest scammers. Con artists, bad actors, such as NFT scam, abuse, spam, theft, impersonation, and dishonest AI presentation. My practical advice is simple: stay on platform until trust is earned. Ask for portfolios, not promises. Ask for specifics, not vague praise. Report spam instead of debating with it. Use filtering settings. Keep evidence. Protect your copyright. Disclose AI honestly. And if someone approaches you with polished words, but no real body of work, no real identity, and a fast push toward private contact, assume caution first. That is the reality of content creation now. The internet gives opportunity, but it also gives deception. It gives visibility, but it also gives noise. It gives creators a stage, but it also gives scammers an opening. So if we want to grow, stay safe, and build real reputations, we have to create with both ambition and awareness. Let me continue this carefully. Or I'm sorry, moving on to the next topic. So let me continue this carefully and in a more educational way, because this is one of those topics where people often mix fantasy, internet subculture, film exaggeration, and real world geology all together. When I refer to quicksand here, I am speaking in an observational and academic sense about a niche online genre and a real natural phenomenon. I am not presenting this as an instruction guide, and I am not encouraging anyone to place themselves in dangerous real world conditions for content, thrill, or adult experimentation. So, viewer discretion remains and still heavily advised. Sorry, viewer discretion remains advised because this is a mature and potentially uncomfortable subject area. In real world science, quicksand is not some magical bottomless pit that swallows a person whole the way old adventure movies often portray it. Like, Dora Explorer. I think one of the Disney movie with the what I forgot what was it called? The Wizard of Waverly Place family. Like any scenes like Tarzan or Jungle Boy, Jungle Commando, with the Amazon rainforest and jungles that has quicksand where you step on it and you sink and you get all muddy. That's what I'm talking about. But it's movie, it's make believe. So in real world science, quicksand is not some magical bottomless pit that swallows a person whole. The way old adventure movies often portray it. Britannica defines quicksand as a condition in which water saturated sand loses its supporting strength and behaves more like a liquid. I ain't gonna lie, this whole quicksand really does turns me on, and I love quicksand because it's like mud. But if you take English and literature and you personify a thing, quicksand will be more like a sentimental being. But I've seen this all on artistic adult websites like DeviantArt and OnlyFans or Patreon. where a bunch of fans are into all this fetish driven stuff about quicksand or bottomless like mud, sand, beach stuff. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I mean, I've been into this for years, and I really sometimes it just feels mind blown. But anyway, back on the subject about quicksand, it is as a condition, in which water saturated sand loses its supporting strength and behaves more like a liquid. The same source explains that, contrary to the movie trope, a person usually does not get dragged. Let me scroll down. Dragged all the way under because the sand water mixture is denser. Okay, let me repeat that part there. A person usually does not get dragged all the way under because the sand water mixture is denser than the human body. In other words, cinema, movie theaters, and television often turns quicksand into dramatic shock value instant doom, while the real phenomenon is more about instability, entrapment, and difficulty escaping than total disappearance. So basically, just quicksand in real life is just more difficult, and you just feel trapped. And if you're not prepared for that, then more than likely it's going to be, you probably might get, I don't know, you might die from starvation, dehydration, probably you're a sitting duck from other predators. And yeah, I am kind of lost of words when you're looking at it from a perilous situation. That does not mean real quicksand is harmless. It can still be dangerous. The danger is usually not that it acts like a supernatural trap, or again a perilous trap or whatever. The real danger is that a person can become immobilized, exhausted, injured, chilled, strained, or placed in a worse situation if water, tides, weather, or isolation becomes factors. The National Park Service currently warns visitors in some areas to watch for smooth, wet, shifting, or unusually soft ground. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you for telling me that, Natural Park Service, because you know me, I love stepping in mud, and I don't like wearing clothes exploring these areas. So you bet your ass if I see something that looks promising, I'm kicking my shoes off and go jungle commando and anything that looks muddy. But you know me, I'm all into that stuff, but I ain't into all this blood and gory shit. I'm not on the dark end. I'm on the lightest end, and that is my message and my promotion right there. It's time to promote some sensual activities. But the National Park Service currently warns visitors in some areas to watch for smooth, wet, shifting, or unusually soft ground, and advises slow, calm movements rather than panic, struggling if someone gets stuck. Uh, I might struggle on purpose because I like sinking, and I am into that kind of thing. But that's why I like to go to the Bahamas, and I wish I can own the freaking island so I can exercise clothing optional like Adam and Eve, just so I can really feel that quicksand effect. So the correct comparison is this: movies exaggerate the mechanism, but unstable ground, silt, clay, uh, peat, and swamp mud, and any other dirt and saturated sediment can still create very real rescue situations in IRL. It is also important to separate quicksand. Oh, I gotta kick my feet up. I gotta stretch my feet. Oh my gosh, I'm it's cramping. Freaking A. It is also important to separate quicksand from sinkholes because I do see that on the news. Because people often blur those together. A sinkhole is not simply quicksand underground, quote unquote. The U.S. Geological Survey explains that sinkholes are depressions or collapses that form where soluble rock such as limestone, gypsum, or salt is dissolved by groundwater. creating underground voids that may later collapse. So, if I am speaking precisely, quicksand is a saturated, unstable sediment condition, while a sinkhole is a ground collapse event tied to underground erosion and cavity formation. Both can be dangerous, but they are, let me scroll down, not the same process, but both can be dangerous and they're both earth based. That has to do with ground and land. And I'm pretty sure sinkholes are like can be muddy. And I'm gonna be honest, if I see sinkhole or anything that looks muddy, as I said, I'm going jungle commando, and I'm retarded enough to actually throw my life away because there are people that are daredevils, and I'm pretty sure they are in it to feel good feeling, sensory sensation, tactile feeling. They want to know what it's like to get money, and they like to go without clothes, and that's what this whole fetish-driven quicksand, wet and messy stuff is all about. I've been seeing that on the internet, and I'm bringing that to now public knowledge on YouTube, Rumble, and across the social media. But once again, viewer discretion is advised. Now, shifting from geology to internet culture, there is indeed a niche, creative, and adult oriented subculture built around quicksand, deep mud, sinking, entrapment, and what broader communities sometimes call wet and messy wham themes. Public sites in this niche make that very plain. A studio called Studio 588. Studio 588's public pages describe the facility as being designed primarily for small scale video shoots centered on quicksand scenes, and its public model mayhem profile describes the work as fetish or interest content related to deep mud. That matters because it shows this is not just a rumor or an imaginary category. There are actual producers, models, artists, and fans who treat this as a defined niche genre. What gives the genre is its appeal for some viewers is usually not one single thing but a combination of elements. Suspense, helplessness, entrapment, imagery, peril, fantasy, damsel in distress, immersion in mud or unstable terrain, tactile aesthetics, and transformation of a simple environment into a dramatic scene. Nah, I don't like dramatic scene. I wanted it to be erotic and sensual. That's what I'm all about. And I'm anti dramatic, and I don't like tragedies and all this drama bullcrap. I wanted the opposite. If you look at the public scene descriptions on Studio 588's own page, if you Google it up and put Studio 588 on their page, the website, many are framed as narrative fantasy scenarios, dream sequence, jungle dangers, escapes gone wrong, glamour shoots, or stylized misadventures that suggests that for a portion of the audience, the appeal lies in the combination of story, visual drama, and controlled danger symbolism rather than geology alone. In in some corners of the adult market, those same elements are clearly packaged as fetish material rather than simple adventure storytelling. I can see that. It is very I don't know how to feel about it. Fantasizing, I could say. So my Discord screenshot so my Discord screenshot also helps illustrate how organized these communities can become. It shows channels divided into things like videos, NSFW or not safe for work videos, image dumps, real life quicksand discussion, mud visuals, and a Studio 588 section that tells me this is not just random scattered interest. It functions like a subcommunity with its own categories: producers, uh, reference material, announcements, and fan discussion, and of course, other artists related. So in my screenshot, one post explicitly links to Studio 588 materials, and another directs users to quicksand related websites, while noting that registration is used to reduce spam and scammers. So even within that niche, this whole quicksand or wet and messy stuff, people are still dealing with the same internet realities of moderation, access control, and trying to filter out bad actors. If I were explaining Studio 588 directly to you viewers and audiences, I would best I would I'll phrase it this way. Studio 588 and other related niche like this appears to be a long-running niche production site focused on quicksand and deep mud themed video shoots. Its its public site says it supports very small shoots, offers theme sets, and wooded terrain. Wow, I would love that, man. I would love to go to Studio 588. But hey, I got my own garden plot, so I just need to build some kind of a privacy screening, so I can really exercise that clothing optional, the freedom. But yeah, Studio 588 is focused on niche production on quicksand and deep mud themed video shoots. It supports very small shoots, offer theme sets and wooded terrain, and even provides lodging and cleanup support. Its public DeviantArt page says visitors can reserve time to use the mud pits or film their own videos or take pictures of their experience. And its Model Mayhem presence includes adult casting calls marked as 18 plus erotic quicksand scenes. That makes it one of the clear public examples of how this niche moved from private fantasy and scattered art into an actual micro industry with facilities, casting, scene catalogs, and paid productions. At the same time, this is where I would slow the conversation down and be responsible here. What what audiences see online, especially in edited fetish videos, fantasy art, animations, or stage scenes, is often controlled, curated, and dramatized. Well, I don't like dramatized. It should be eroticized. The public science sources do not support the old movie idea that a normal adult will simply vanish into ordinary quicksand without a trace. So if someone tries to take fictional or edited content and treat it like a real world template, that is where there that is where misunderstanding becomes dangerous. Fantasy media can intensify the effect of for drama effect or shock value. Real unstable mud, tidal flats, or saturated sediments can still injure, strain, or trap people, but in not in the neat cinematic way popular culture taught generations to expect. Like again, don't pay attention to movies. Again, it's movie. Movies are make believe. Some may be non-fictional or based on a true story, but they have some fictional elements that can sometimes be obviously be fictional. And I'm a non-fiction and a concrete kind of person. So the balance takeaway I would give the audience here is this: quicksand is real, may be real, but Hollywood exaggerated how it works. They lie about it. They dramatize it. Sinkholes are real, and do see that on the news, but they are a different geological hazard, a landscape hazard, landform hazards. So, quicksand and deep mud fetish content is also real as an online niche. And I can't believe communities are like that are into those kind of things, and they do exist. You can see it on DeviantArt, Twitter X, Patreon. If you're over the age of 18, that is, and there are some filters where there's mature content, so you can find that on DeviantArt and maybe ArtStation. I do see that on YouTube when you Google quicksand. It's a compound word, quicksand, sand that's quick, deep mud sinking or something. Oh boy, I'm already too familiar about all that. But Hollywood exaggerate how it works. Sinkholes are real, but they are a different geological hazard. Quicksand and deep mud fetish content is also real as an online niche with artists, animators, subscription creators, and even specialized producers and discussion spaces. It is definitely on the internet if you choose to Google it. Yeah, but none of that should be confused with safety, science, or ordinary reality. If if we talk about it, we should talk about it honestly. We got to be open about it, and that's what I'm doing right now is to communicate all this so that it gets documented here on the internet. I call that adult talk. As a mixture of natural science, internet subculture, fantasy staging, adult media, and niche artistic expression, that is the most accurate and most responsible way to explain it. Oh, it's, God dang it! Sorry, my feet is kind of strained. Let me try to relax my feet a bit. All right, there you go. Okay, so yes, we talk about it. We talk about it honestly. It's we try not to confuse this whole quicksand niche fetish driven stuff with movies. What you see in Hollywood, those are just make believe. Quicksand, it may be real like that, but I don't know. I'm just not very adventurous to actually find it, and I'm not the kind of person that would travel across the globe just to find an unstable landform just to go jungle commando and just to experience all this firsthand. I am not that retarded to go that far just to see what quicksand feels like at my own expense. I ain't gonna take that risk. But there are a lot of people on this whole community, on this niche, on Discord, on Telegram, and on DeviantArt, and these there's groups and there's a lot of discussions on Reddit on all these daredevils that's willing to go all of the way to actually try to experience. Oh, what's it like singing quicksand? Let's take off. Let's go clothing optional and let's do it. And I'm just like, well, that's just damn. I mean, I'm just saying it's fairly mind blowing that there are people that are into all these things and they're really willing to risk like gamble their life in a Russian roulette style, just sinking in sinkholes and all this. And I'm like, yeah, it's mind blowing that people are really doing these things. I just don't know what to say about that because that's on them and that's their free will or whatever. Me, I like to play it safe, but I am partially retarded. If I do see something like that, I'm like, yep, open season, baby. I'm going to kick my shoes off and play in the mud. All right. Uh, Let me check. Yeah, I'm using a platform, or I'm using like a platform tool. Oh my! And I'm under a certain time limit before I have to produce another content. What I want to do next is address this topic again in a careful, academic, and non-graphic way. So when people hear terms like not safe for work, fetish driven, kink related, or adult oriented, those labels generally refer to media or subject matter meant for mature audiences 18 plus rather than children or general family viewing. Again, viewer discretion is advised, not safe for work. And that's what it means. And I'm just saying that just to knock some common sense and making sure you are aware of that. All the viewers and audience watching, making sure you're not lying about your age or being dishonest. Hey, I made that mistake. I was curious, so I lie about my age on DeviantArt when I was like, oh no, I just discovered explicit materials or all this adult snuff, pornography and hentai. And I'm gonna be honest, I was underage. I was about 1 year until I hit 18, and that was like around 2011 or something. But I'm already now fully aware of all this not safe for work content, and I'm on the lightest end. I don't like blood and gory. I don't like to hear all these horror of what happened to all the people, like in that got caught in cartels and all these butchering, mass execution, and I don't want to hear all those Godfather, Scarface execution style gang murder and whatever. I mean, I don't want to get into much detail, but I'm on the lightest end when it comes to not safe for work. But anyway, I'm gonna take a little break there because I gotta go use the restroom and wash my face, and I uh need to pause right there. So I'm gonna take a little break and take a little breather. I'll be right back, viewers and audience. Okay, I am back. Just finished, freshening up and staying staying awake. Oh man. All right, so as I was saying, we gotta, it's all about your personal safety. When you're doing all these fetish stuff, sinking all this deep mud or quicksand, and you're trying to fulfill your whatever fantasy when it comes to all this geographical landforms here, safety is top priority, and I really don't recommend it if there are actual quicksand out there. But I'm bringing this. I'm documenting this and speaking my thoughts here because there are communities and there are daredevils of these people that are into all this, and I do see this on YouTube. If you search for people playing in the mud or sinking in quicksand, there are there are clips in a lot of those niche on there. It's definitely on the internet, so I would say it's common. Oh, there's my glasses. Sorry, I'm not wearing my glasses. And again, I hope you don't mind some foot centric focus. Kicking my feet up and showing some feet. Because to all the haters and trolls, I will not be defeated. I like to provide a good footage, providing the best features, and getting the foot through the door of opportunities. And I gotta keep on my toes. And I like to have a foot massage, a foot reflexology, and another pedicure. I love the feeling. But yeah, that defines who I am as a content creator. And hope you don't mind seeing all that on the camera while I'm just commentating and exercising freedom of speech and expression under the First Amendment and open door policy. All right. So uh, I'll repeat and reiterate again. So what I want to do next is address this topic in a careful, academic, responsibly, and non-graphic way. When people hear terms like not safe for work, NSFW, fetish driven, kink related, or adult oriented, those labels generally refer to media or subject matter meant for mature audiences, obviously, rather than children or general family viewing. PG as in PG or rated G. Standard dictionary and encyclopedia definitions of pornography or porn center on. Oh, let me scroll down. So the definition of pornography or porn for short, as everyone knows it, center center on media that depicts erotic behavior or sexual material with the intent to produce sexual excitement. That is the broad umbrella. That is the broad umbrella people are usually talking about when they say a space. They say a space, image set, animation, comic, or video is NSFW. But pornography means it is about that, and it is about two parties getting extremely intimate. To that point, going to bed and intimacy physically. That's the best I could describe what a formal definition of pornography is. And there are adult websites on the internet that do host that. And I will say again, OnlyFans. I mean, 2012. I have never heard of OnlyFans, and AI didn't exist around 2012. I never heard of ChatGPT in 2012 or 2014, and COVID-19 didn't exist. So yeah, how time flies. So within that larger umbrella, there are many narrower subgenres and fantasy categories. For example, bondage. Bondage is commonly defined as sexual practice involving physical restraint. Uh, yeah, I already know what that means. I don't know how I feel about that, but I don't really feel all excited when I heard that term. Okay, well okay. Well, carry on. I'm getting too distracted and sidetracked. So other recurring fantasy labels online include vor, vor. I think short for vorophilia or something. Vorchasm. I don't know. So recurring fantasy labels within this whole not safe for work adult genre or categories online includes vor, a term used online for fictional, quote, being eaten or eating fantasies. I just can't believe that something like this exists, and there are people that find this. I don't find it a turn on for them, and I'm just like, well, the way how I said yeah, it just feels unusual. So vor, of course, being eaten or eating fantasies. Petrification. Now there's petrification, fetish, which in fantasy media usually means being turned to stone or rendered statue like. And tentacle themed fantasy, as we all know it for all those into hentai and pornography, tentacle themed fantasy, which appears in some erotic anime or manga subgenres as monster or appendage based imagery. That's what tentacle theme, all this adult stuff, it means. It has to do with monstery or appendage based imagery. These categories are not all the same. Well, they are the same within the whole not safe for work adult genre when you talk about hentai or pornography. And I'm saying that in an academic, for education purposes, for adult viewers. Just to be fair, again, not safe for work. Viewer discretion is advised. I'm saying this as part of fair use and exercising First Amendment here to explain, to spread awareness rhetorically. Because, if I'm posting this on YouTube or Rumble, of course, there's going to be policies and TOS that are against all this. And I'm just like, well, okay. I follow the rules and policies, even though I disagree with them. So these categories are not all the same, even though, well, they are all the same, sharing under the category that is not safe for work, and it's a fetish-driven, kink-oriented kind of ordeal. And they do not all operate in the same communities, but as I said, they are part of a wider ecosystem of adult fantasy media and internet subcultures. Again, fetish-driven and kink-oriented adult adult niche fantasies. Now, the word hentai is is one that often gets misunderstood. Uh, I've heard this term, and when it was actually said, it is actually I think I'm not sure if it's precisely correct, but hentai means pervert in English. I don't watch a lot of anime and I don't watch a lot of English subs, so I don't know what hentai translates to in English, but it is a Japanese term for within the whole otaku culture in the whole in that category. So the word hentai, is the one that often gets misunderstood, especially across languages. In English-speaking anime fandom, hentai usually refers to explicit Japanese-style anime, manga, games, or related adult media. But in Japanese, can mean something closer to abnormal or abnormality or pervert. And dictionary sources also show it can carry other senses such as transformation or metamorphosis. Yeah, metamorphosis, depending on context. And let me scroll down and spelling. So when people say hentai means pervert, that is partly true in Japanese usage, but in English internet culture, the word has also become a genre label for explicit anime or manga content. That is why I think it is important to discuss these topics with clarity and responsibility, and again, trying to communicate this civilly in a serious response. When we talk about hentai, I mean, I'm learning the history and the roots of all this, and that's the kind of person I am. I like to understand how this all came about and who invented hentai and how that became an official word, where that came from. Like, who's the founder of pornography? That's what I'm wondering. What is it? Did Adam and Eve and somehow Romeo and Juliet discovered it and they founded that? They coined that term or something? I mean, I would love to put it on ChatGPT, but ChatGPT ain't adult friendly yet. They're not safe for work friendly. They would flag it and they won't let me. They won't nail all that down and do all the research or do a deep dive just to help me find the origin of how pornography was founded and the term was or so. But I'm very open minded to listen to hearing all that. I call that sex education. But sorry, I'm getting again distracted and sidetracked. But let me continue. Yes, we got to discuss these topics with clarity and responsibly in an academic manner, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm making this content to spread awareness and making sure you that everyone is at least aware of all this. There is a difference between naming a subculture and endorsing everything inside it. There is a difference between educational explanation and graphic promotion, and I hate graphic as in blood and gory, unsettling bullcrap. I don't care about all that. I don't like dark fetishes. I don't like seeing violence, harm, and people dying. I don't like seeing all that. I'm on the opposite end of that. So there's a difference between educational explanation and graphic promotion, and there is a difference between fantasy media and real world behavior. As I could really see a fine line in that. Some of these categories are primarily fictional, exaggerated, or impossible in real life. Well, yeah, I don't know if there's such thing as an actual giant octopus with tentacles for someone to actually fulfill their fetish that are into tentacles. But yeah, some of these categories are primarily fictional, exaggerated, or impossible in real life to enact all this stuff. The only thing that's considered non-fictional is bondage, because I see that on all those adult explicit websites. I ain't going to go into a lot of details, but I've been there. And OnlyFans. I just want to reiterate that back in 2012, 2010, 2011, OnlyFans didn't exist, and so does AI, and COVID-19 didn't exist back then. And of course, even before 2019, Genshin Impact didn't exist either. I want to throw it out there. But back to all this, these are fictional. So if I don't know what more I could say, but yeah, it's fictional, and I've been seeing it. And I'm like, yeah, I wish. And you know what Eddie and Ed would say, in your dreams. But others overlap with real adult communities, but the boundaries still matter. Adulthood, consent, platform rules, legality or legal concerns, and basic respect for other people all matter. It all matters. So to reiterate this, there are many adult themed subcultures online that fall under the broader category of not safe for work, NSFW, or mature content. In general, oh boy, let me check to see if I still have enough. Okay, good and good. Okay, I can keep on talking. So the boundary still matters. Okay, okay, what was I? Yeah, so what I'm trying to really communicate and get this through here, get my point across, is that there are many adult themed subcultures online that fall under the broader category of not safe for work or mature content. And to add on that, there are some that are into all this or into some of these stuff, and some that might find disturbing, unsettling, too much information, too graphic. And I'm just like, hey, well, at least nobody's forcing you to watch all this. And I wanna repeat again, I don't like freaking graphic, bloody and gory, realistic content. I don't like watching like Mortal Kombat, the movie version that features real life actors or characters, actors portraying the characters. And I don't like seeing disturbing things like what you see on YouTube with the cartels doing to all the victims that have been kidnapped. I don't want to know all that. I don't want to see like disgusting execution. I don't want to see all that. But I have no problem seeing someone trying to kick off the shoes and play footsies or some foot context stuff like what I'm showing here. Like I have no problem seeing feet, and I might as well use that as as a strong position on where I stand between the darkest side of not safe for work and the lightest side of not safe for work to really show my identity. So I'm pretty sure I already look at myself in the mirror and realize I know where I like to see, and I like to see bare feet content. I love to see massages. I love to see like non-graphic yet not safe for work that has to do with consensual or consent, and people like the characters willingly doing these things and they're like enjoying it. That's what I call erotica, and that's where I stand on. So yeah, so to there are adult themes, and in general that means material not intended for minors or under the age of 18. So that's what not safe for work means. Or for ordinary public viewing for anyone that is insensitive to either of all that. And I respect that. Some of these subgenres involve restraint based fantasy. Oh boy, let me scroll down. Some involve transformation themes, some or transformation themes or metamorphosis. Some involve monster or monstery stuff or creature fantasy. Uh yeah, and others involve very niche fictional scenarios that have grown into internet communities of their own. One example is again bondage, which refers to restraint based sexual practice. Another is hentai, which in English fandom usually refers to explicit anime or manga, even though the Japanese word itself can also uh, let me scroll down, can also mean something closer to abnormality or perversion, depending on context. Other niche labels such as being eaten or eating, swallowing, something like that. Petrification or statue transformation or statue like, or tentacle themed fantasy are terms viewers may encounter in online adult art spaces. Fan communities or mature media archives. My purpose in discussing them here is not to be graphic or sensational, but to raise awareness. Define the terms clearly so that you're aware of all this and what to expect. And this is all adult education here. And help people, like all you viewers and audience that care to watch all this and hear me out from start to finish here, understand the kind of content categories that exist online, so they are not confused, misled, or even caught off guard. Okay, let me kick my feet up. There you go. So now let me continue by focusing on what these screenshots appear to show. If I could pop up the screenshots, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to put up, but I'll put up all the screenshots to show concrete transparency and proof. Because together they illustrate two related but different problems. Again, I don't know what I'm talking about here, so bear with me on that. First, direct art theft. Okay, now I know what we're talking about now. So we're talking about direct art theft through unauthorized re-uploading, and second, the wider scam culture of burner accounts, fake artists, and cold outreach solicitation that keeps targeting creators. And I'm talking about all these artistic based platforms. So let's give one a good solid example. So looking at the DeviantArt screenshots, first, the pattern shown is the kind of pattern that immediately raises suspicion in many art communities. The account in the screenshots appears to be extremely new, with only about 23 hours of account age, but already shows a high number of deviations or content and profile activity. One image shows a quicksand themed fan art uploaded titled Nezumi Sink, while the profile screenshot shows the same account with dozens of watchers, many deviations, and zero favorites, despite having existed for less than a full day. By itself, a new account is not proof of wrongdoing, but when a very new account appears, rapidly uploads many works, has little history, little visible community interaction or engagement, and is then accused by multiple community members of reposting other people's art, that is the kind of pattern that makes artists stop and investigate. So to reiterate, what I'm trying to say here is, let's say DeviantArt, on DeviantArt website, there are a lot of these burner accounts, bunch of mule, shady looking accounts that don't even update their profile pictures. There are a lot of just dead, recently or just suddenly birthed accounts that has no content posted on their profile. They really looks like they don't really use the freaking website. They just created to spam and to upload and to cause havoc, to cause problems intentionally. So all these users, all these profiles with no profile pictures and obvious indication that they're not gonna freaking use the website to using it for intended purposes and using it properly, like what I've been doing with my DeviantArt account. I have my DeviantArt for 14 years, and I use it properly. I don't use it to scam or to piss off other communities members like that. I don't do that. But that's what I'm trying to communicate here. And I know I made a content, and that's what I'm showing right there on Rumble, calling out all these fake artists, spam bots, and that's a good example of what I showed on there. But I'm promoting that here on my Rumble channel, General Sunbeam, and showing that content that was being played, promoting that here while I'm talking about all this, trying to strongly stress that there's that these are reoccurring issues that will not die down. So there are like all these mule accounts, dead accounts, low engagements. They either steal and re-upload artists the artist works on the DeviantArt, or they target literature storytellers and pretend to be claim artists and pull them off platforms like Discord, Telegram, Blue Sky, Twitter X, Instagram, Facebook, and trying to solicit art service. Turning your stories into web comics and all that. So yeah, we got same account with all that. So it is not so a new account by itself is not wrongdoing, but when you have complaints and people's art are being posted without consent and their approval or without their permission, it makes the artist stop and investigate. The Discord screenshots shows shows the second part of the story, community reaction. People in that server or are not treating the situation as a harmless misunderstanding. They are calling it theft. They are calling it theft, saying they already reported the account. Oh boy. They are calling it theft, saying they already reported the account, calling for pinned evidence, and saying there let's see, pin evidence and saying there is zero tolerance for art thieves. One screenshot even shows a parody wanted poster labeling. Oh boy, sorry, my nose is itchy. So one let's see, calling for pin evidence and saying there is zero tolerance for art thieves. One screenshot even shows a parody wanted poster labeling the account an art thief. That tells me the community believed this was not just reposting with sloppy credit, but deliberate unauthorized reuse. At the same time, I want to say something important and responsible. Community anger is not the same thing as final proof. Screenshots like these show a strong allegation and a strong reaction, but the strongest response is still evidence, documentation, and proper reporting rather than mob behavior. Now, let me define the issue clearly. What people often call art theft. Art theft online is usually a mix of copyright infringement, unauthorized reposting, false attribution, and deceptive presentation. Let's see. Oh boy. All right. Well, I'm just gonna take a little breather right there. Okay. All right. So yes. So according to all the Discord screenshots. So I am I am in these quicksand communities, these quicksand servers, and these people, these users on the quicksand, within that group, within the server, they were calling out a particular user on DeviantArt that's uploading other artists' work without their consent or approval, without their permission. So committing like copyright infringement, pretty much. So the user that whenever the images I show, if I can get them up or get them all on there. So I'm basically exposing the DeviantArt user that's posting up stolen artwork or committing art theft, calling them out. So again, let me define the issue clearly. What people often call art theft online is usually a mix of copyright infringement, unauthorized posting, false attribution, and deceptive presentation. So DeviantArt's own sharing etiquette policy says members may not post content created by another member to their own profile without first obtaining permission, and that if they do have permission, they still must properly credit and tag the original creator. That is ethical way to do it. DeviantArt's DeviantArt's official copyright policies also says users who repeatedly post. Oh, there you go. Let me scroll down. Who repeatedly post infringing content can be suspended, and repeat infringers may be banned. The policy specifically says that if someone deliberately misrepresents another person's copyrighted work as their own, plagiarism, the account can be immediately banned and deactivated. So, in plain language, art theft on DeviantArt or any other artistic platforms related usually happens in one of several ways. Number one, number one method is direct re-uploading. A person takes the file and posts it on their own page as if it were theirs. Another method is screenshot theft. Instead of downloading the original file directly, they capture the image from the screen using screenshots, screen snips, or even a phone camera pointed at the monitor, then repost it. Another method is slight modification, cropping, cropping a watermark. Let me scroll down. So yes, cropping a watermark, changing colors, resizing, adding filters, mirroring the image, or making small edits so the stolen work looks different enough at a glance. So they pretty much are trying to transform it in a transformative manner. Another method is tracing or redraw theft, where the art theft copies the pose, lines, or composition so closely that it is effectively a disguised copy. Another method is AI assisted laundering. Another method in which every artist hates so much is AI assisted laundering, where a stolen image is run through an AI tool and let's see, an AI tool touched up or altered and then falsely passed off as original hand drawn work. And another method is archive theft. Archive theft, where people where people copy older pieces from forums, image boards, Discord servers, or abandoned profiles and repost them because they think the original artist will never notice. Well, that is if they passed away or passed on. If they never notice, DeviantArt's policies address the underlying principle very clearly. Posting another member's content without permission is not allowed. This is also why burner accounts and mule accounts are such a persistent problem. They are cheap. They are cheap to create, easy to abandon, and often built with no intention of becoming real artist profiles. They may have little or no biography, weak or generic profile branding, no real favorites, no real favorites, no let me scroll down. No long comment history and almost no meaningful community presence. Some exist to repost stolen work. Others others exist to send fake praise. Push writers or artists into Discord, Telegram, or Instagram, and pretend to offer comic adaptation, commissions, or collaboration. DeviantArt's own help center explicitly treats spam advertising, SEO abuse, and abusive outreach as reportable platform problems, and it also provides users with a setting to limit messages to only deviants they watch. The same help center warns user not to trust messages from people merely claiming to be a staff unless they show the official DeviantArt team symbol. So that tells you the platform itself recognizes impersonation, spam, and deceptive outreach as recurring issues. And and this is where art theft and fake artist solicitation start blending together. A, a, a thief might steal artwork directly for reposting. A scammer might never repost art at all, but instead use a dead or burner account to target creators through fake compliments and pretend to be an artist, comic adapter, or collaborator. And they're both dishonest and not so good. They both should be reported, removed, and banned, and arrested. Okay, sorry. So, sorry for all the what's the word? All the little compilation and all the transition here and all the inconsistency. I'm like compiling all this, and all this is like being what's the word? Compiled all together in one big content, all done on different days. So I'm basically just uh like saying all this on different days. So I just want to give you a heads up, viewers and audience. So just to try to get back on track here. So just again, this is your boy Sunbeam Titan, General Sunbeam 007, and I am wearing a Sword Online shirt. I'm a big fan of Sword Online. If you heard of that anime, it is produced by Reki Kawahara. He was a writer, or he is a writer at first, but I don't know who produced the anime version of it. Like it was a some kind of a short story or something. Okay, but anyway, let's get back to the point here. So as I was saying here, both are forms of dishonesty. One steals the actual image. So we were talking about like art theft, piracy, and art theft. And just for a moment, before this whole freaking artificial intelligence, all this AI crap, I know everyone. Oh no, I know. I'm sure. I don't know how many are against artificial intelligence, specifically centered around artificial intelligent art, AI art. Know that many of you viewers and audience are against AI art, especially with scraping and cheating and cutting corners in that regard. And I understand that. I hear you clearly. But for those that are being honest about it and using it responsibly, it is not a crime. And it is not the user's fault. It is those that created AI in the first place. For example, ChatGPT is created by OpenAI, and the CEO, I don't know, I forgot the CEO's first and last name, but I know the CEO is like Hartman or something. But OpenAI is the one that created ChatGPT. So if you're protesting, protest against OpenAI, not the users. Don't be targeting me. I do not create ChatGPT. Even though I spend money as a subscriber and I'm basically am funding it, I am not doing anything wrong, and that's considerably harassment. They say two wrong don't make a right. So don't harass the users. Harass OpenAI. Protest against the OpenAI if you're against all this AI art or AI in general. But regarding art theft and piracy, it is still going on, even before AI. There are like policies, and if you heard of SOPA and PIPA, SOPA stands for Stop Online Piracy Act, and PIPA stands for Protect Intellectual Property Act. And this was like around 2016 during President Obama's presidency, like his first term, around 2016 or 2015, when SOPA and PIPA the around. I don't know what I've been, and that's what I'm saying. There has been art theft and piracy. So back to the topic here. So both are forms of dishonesty. One steals the actual image, and the other steals trust, attention, and sometimes money. Oh, I forgot to kick my feet on the desk. So again, viewer discretion is advised, as I said in the previous content. So here comes some features, and to provide the best footage for those that are into foot centric content. So yes, regarding what's been going on all these art related platforms, whether that's DeviantArt, there are a bunch of art thefts and a lot of trolls and just bad actors on those platforms. The FTC's current guidance on impersonation scams is relevant here because it explains the same core mechanism: imposters pretending to be someone they are not in order to gain access, money, or information. In fact, alone, people reported nearly 3 billion in losses to impersonation scams. And the FTC's advice is to verify people independently, avoid unexpected links, and be cautious with unsolicited contact. That broader scam logic applies directly to fake artists. Yes, fake artists outreach on art platforms, again, such as DeviantArt, DA, and maybe ArtStation. What makes the DeviantArt problem especially frustrating is that moderation is usually reactive, not magical. Well, yeah, of course. DeviantArt says reports are reviewed through a prioritization system, and that it cannot estimate when any particular report will be reviewed because of the volume and complexity of reports. In other words, even when users do the right thing, like myself, bad accounts can still stay visible. Oh my gosh, I gotta put my feet down. I hate it when this desk is kind of high. So I kind of wish the laptop is like maybe a bit lower to capture the full part of the feet, my feet. But yeah, okay. Sorry for derailing. Time to get back on track here. So in other words, even when users do the right thing, bad accounts can still stay visible long enough to repost work, send spam, or cause more harm before moderation catches up to them. Before they feel the consequences. The ban hammer. That is one reason artists and writers feel exhausted or annoyed with all this lousy bots and mule accounts keep popping up on DeviantArt. The burden often falls on the victims and the community to gather screenshots, identify originals, warn others, spread the word, keep spreading the awareness, and keep filing reports over and over again. It is a loophole, obviously. DeviantArt has built some real tools to help with this, but those tools are not a complete shield. And as I am saying, trying to be here at the very top, I say this not just that, but in general, no amount of rules, policies, and legislation can protect people against crime. So just to give you a heads up, that's what the rules are for, but they're not like godlike shield. People can still commit crime and they may get away with it, but actions do have consequences, and eventually it will catch up to them. But no amount of legislation, rules, policies can will protect anyone against crime, and it doesn't meticulously or miraculously reduce crime. That's for sure. It'll keep on happening. If you watch the news, if you care to watch the news or read any news article, there's a lot of problems. A lot of tragedies, a lot of loss of lives, property destruction, natural disasters, disease. It's just very sad. We live in a cruel and unforgiving world. But so DeviantArt Protect uses image recognition software to detect visually similar uploads and notify artists of possible unauthorized reposts. All deviations or content on there get coverage for 3 months after submission, and core members get ongoing coverage while core remains active. For those that are subscribed to DeviantArt, DeviantArt says protect does not automatically remove content. It notifies the artist, who can then decide whether to file a DMCA notice. DeviantArt has also said that Protect helped expose large amounts of NFT theft, with hundreds of thousands of alerts sent to artists. That gives some sense of scale. Art theft is not a fringe inconvenience. It is large enough that DeviantArt built a dedicated detection system, and later expanded it into NFT monitoring. So, what should a creator actually do besides simply reporting it? Well, first, preserve evidence before the content disappears. Save the profile screenshots, the offending posts, the timestamps, the URLs, and the original upload links, if you can. Second, identify the original work whenever possible. Third, notify the original creator if you are not the rights holder. Fourth, use the correct reporting route. Spam reports for spam behavior, and DMCA or copyright reporting for actual infringement. DeviantArt's official policy is clear that the copyright owner or someone authorized by the owner can file an infringement notice, and that the service follows DMCA procedures. Fifth, use account level defenses. Block suspicious accounts. Restrict messages and do not move off platform with unknown people who contact you unexpectedly. That's right. Those bunch of strangers on that's either try to instant chat or send you DMs or PMs. Yeah, if you don't really know them off the bat, don't move off platform to Discord or Telegram with those strangers. They're probably just scammers and they're just gonna steal your money or personal information. We gotta stay safe. Six, separate evidence from rumor. It is one thing to say an account looks suspicious, and it is another to prove that a specific upload was copied from a specific original. The stronger the evidence, the better the report. And that's the same thing for being police officers and every law enforcement agency and security officers. Because the stronger the evidence, the better the report, and the better the prosecution. I would also stress an important distinction for viewers. Not every empty or new account is automatically a thief. Not every low engagement account is malicious, but certain combinations are red flags. A brand new profile, rapid upload bursts, no meaningful favorites, no artist process, no portfolio history, generic or mismatched tags, vague praise in comments, pressure to move to Discord or Telegram or WhatsApp, and work that looks stylistically inconsistent from one upload to the next. Those are the kinds of patterns that deserve scrutiny. So the broader lesson from these screenshots is not just one account might have stolen art. The larger lesson is that online creative spaces are now under pressure from several directions at once. There is traditional art theft. There is screenshot and re-upload theft. There is tracing and edit based theft. And of course, that everyone's favorite, there is AI scraping or AI assisted laundering of stolen images. And again, AI scraping of other original artists' work. There is fake artists or con artists, solicitation targeting writers and creators. There is impersonation and cold outreach. And there is the constant churn of burner accounts that can vanish and reappear under new names. That is why creators need both ambition and caution. We have to create, but we also have to defend our work. Despite or regardless of these annoying nuisance, the issues isn't strongly resolved. So I'd still want to throw that out there. It really feels that it is not strongly resolved, and it largely depends on the platform. So it depends on the administrators and the moderators behind DeviantArt, MySpace, and all these social platforms out there to really regulate and lay down the law against these burner accounts, all these spams and annoying solicitators. I don't like bunch of bots using automated stuff to try to harass creators like that. More users will keep generating new made account profiles and the art theft piracy will keep going. That's for sure. They will keep going, they'll keep spamming, they'll keep being freaking annoying. Specifically on DeviantArt or art related platform sites. Scams will continue, and these ordeals will not come to a solid close. It will not come to an end. It's going to be a consistent war, left and right, and all around. Artists needs to understand and remain vigilant, and to inform the website admins for stronger protocol and security measures to weed out freaking shady con artists and spammers alike. And pretty much that's all I gotta say about all that. And again, I'm just communicating all this all together to spread awareness and at least that to get my message here on YouTube, Rumble, and if it gets shared to Facebook, Rumble, Pinterest, Tumblr, MySpace, Skype, Blue Sky. I doubt it would get shared or reposted, but I appreciate the views and I appreciate you hearing me out and watching this content. I mean, if you made it this far, I appreciate it. Your dedication to watching this all the way from start to finish. I am not a popular YouTuber or whatever content creator. Just me being me, doing what I can, just communicating to all of you viewers and audiences, and to spread proper information, valid information, and not just hearsay, he said, she said, gossip, rumors. I'm more like a factual person, doing my best to spread concrete facts and not just blind opinions and speculation. I'm not the person that likes to fabricate false stories or misinformation. But all this, what I said here, is true about art theft. It is going on around on DeviantArt for most. There have been a lot of reported art thefts, and there's been a lot of frustrations with art theft, privacy, piracy, and copyright infringement, IP theft, plagiarism, and AI scraping. Basically, using the snipping tool on the computer or taking a picture with your phone camera and going on ChatGPT, Gemini, or any other AI platform, AI tools out there, using those snipped screenshots, stolen art, and to create a replica or a duplicate or copying their art style and creating your own artwork. That's what the definition of scraping art means. And many original artists are against that and many are still against AI in general and prefer the traditional human hands-on artistry. And once again, for me, I hear you, I understand that, but no, I am not going to unsubscribe and I am not going to shut down no longer not use ChatGPT. I am still going to use ChatGPT, but I am not weaponizing it, and I am not harming anybody. There is no serious proof that I'm scraping other artists' work, other than those fan arts, AI generated fan arts. I will admit that I have been creating Sword Online fan arts and Genshin Impact fan arts just for fun, just to turn everything into a fan service. I will be honest with that. For those that have been paying attention to me, that is, I did use ChatGPT. I started using ChatGPT at the end of 2024. So close to the end of 2024, I did started using ChatGPT, and then around 2025, early 2025 of January, I subscribed and I spent my money about nearly $20 or $22 somewhere around there to use ChatGPT's about full of its service. I just want to throw it out there. But other than that, that is all I have to say. And I appreciate the views. If you love my content, you find my content appealing, or you find me as your content creator, as the content creator appealing, well, please do hit the subscribe button. It is very easy. Hit that button on YouTube, on Rumble. Hit the follow button. Follow me on Rumble, General Sunbeam. Instagram, General Sunbeam, one word. GS. And as always, I've been posting all those links. If you care to follow me, you can follow me. I believe I have Facebook. I share the Facebook, DeviantArt on there, Wattpad, bloggers or Blogspot. I'm really like just being out there, making a name for myself as a content creator, a social media personality, talking like a news, just being me myself. That's the most important thing. Is just be yourself. But other than that, that's the memo. Peace.